Immerse in the profound wisdom of the Shandilya Bhakti Sutras, ancient verses, revered as a pinnacle of devotion and spiritual awareness. Under the guidance of His Holiness Swami Jyotirmayananda, plunge into the infinite ocean of this revered scripture. Discover its hidden truths. Embrace its transformative power. Awaken to new realms of divine love and spiritual awareness. The depths are calling. The deeper you dive, the more treasures you'll discover. And now, Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda.
Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om. Adorations to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, destroyer of the forces of darkness, and bestower of immortality. This is the chapter 3 of the Shandilya Bhakti Sutras. The focus is on God. Who is God? Surrendering to Him and developing devotion to Him, one attains the highest goal of life. Now, therefore, the mind must have a profound understanding of the nature of God. Bhajaniyena advitiyam idam krishnasya tat swarupatvat. This entire world is non-different from God. God who is adored and worshipped, because this entire world is His manifestation. Now the answer is very simple and very difficult also. The object of your meditation is the entire world. Therefore it's difficult. Where should we worship them? To the east, to the west? And what form should you adopt? All forms are His forms. It has many stages, levels of understanding. When you talk about entire world, the world that is experienced by the senses, that's the gross level of the world. The world that is experienced by the mind, senses have just given you a physical look at the world. But mind has given another extension. Let me give you a crude illustration. Someone is returning from a foreign land to his village. As he comes, he sees shining light blazing. He says, what a wonderful light. I've never seen like that. He comes closer, realizes a fire. Comes closer, it's coming from his own house. It's one type. Think of another variation. He sees the fire and he's coming from his enemy's house. He has double success. He's coming home. He's seeing his enemy crushed down, destroyed. So try to understand two levels. All that you are doing is seeing the fire. But when mind is added to it, one mind sees it terrible loss, another mind sees it a terrible joy, awesome joy. So that's the world. You are constantly perceiving the world through your senses. But mind goes on giving different interpretations. Different minds react to the same perception in different ways. So no two persons have the same mental world. But then that is higher level. When we talk about the world, problem is more in that mental level. It is that world that becomes the cause of boundless misery as well as boundless joy. Depends upon how mind is allowed to advance. If it advances in a negative way, then it's all hell. Positive way, you are moving towards magnanimous experience. But that's not the end of the world. If you go into another level, intellect, your experience becomes subtler, profounder, sustained. Therefore, we speak of three lokas. Bhur loka, the world that everybody enjoys at the sense level, and at the vitality level. It's all types of sports, everybody, all over the world. The sportsmen themselves, they're not the height of joy. They're being beaten up constantly. The brain is racked up. Where the world watches with tremendous joy. And then you have the world of the senses. The major aspect of the world is appealing to the senses. And therefore you are constantly listening to the glory of other places, not yours. And there is a constant sense, if only I had a vacation to go to that wonderful place. So what I'm leading you to understand that all these levels are permeated by God. The world cannot be experienced unless you have senses. Senses can't operate unless there is mind. Mind will not bring about any conclusion of things unless there is intellect. And intellect itself is not absolutely free. Borrows light from God. In a simple way, we say, God is the light of lights. But again, when we said light, it gives you an idea. There are lots of things and there's a big light illumining them. The thing is, there are no other lot of things. That light alone is. How can that be possible? Think of your dream world. In your dream, when you enter into a dream, you forgot to carry your flashlight. That's just for a joke. But you have the whole world. All objects, birds flying in the air, the sky, the twinkling stars, the ocean, enemies, friends. But all that, what is the light that is revealing them? Your consciousness. But is there anything other than consciousness that is being revealed? Consciousness is the only reality. See, whenever we talk about light, then what it is revealing? Things that are illumined by the light are generally different from the light. But to understand the mystical understanding of light, light as awareness, that awareness brings within itself, through ignorance, a world of multiplicity. Like all the dream world comes in your awareness. By ignorance, you have gone into sleep. Naturally, you are ignorant. So what happened? Light illumined the light. And due to ignorance, you got into a lot of trouble. That pure awareness, that is God. All that is being illumined, sustained, ruled, are nothing but the same God. Therefore, a devotee's worship is directed towards the God, even though he may use any symbol. You may use a Shivalinga, a piece of rock formed into an oval shape. You may meditate upon Rama, Krishna, or go to different religious centers, meditate upon Jesus, Buddha. You may hold East more auspicious. Some may hold the West more auspicious. So different people will have different ways of turning to God. If you have this broad understanding, you will never be in contradiction with others. Because no matter whichever way people turn, they are always turning to the same God. Whichever way you turn to the ocean, you may like one particular way, one go on following it. Or you may like something else. But you are looking at the ocean, nothing else. If this were to settle deep in the mind, there will be enormous changes in your life. But that's a project. Every yoga presents an outline of what you have to attain. Go on focusing your mind that you need to wait with patience. You need to grow like a plant. You became very interested in a tree, and your mind is filled with joy. I should have the tree. So what you did, first you brought a little plant of a little baby tree. You started nourishing it. You started telling it, you are the big tree, you are the big tree. And the little tree said, how long will you go on telling me like that? I've been studying Vedanta for 9 years. This point is important to understand. No matter how much you have understood intellectually, no matter how much you have all the satsanga and all the convenience, and no matter how much sadhana you are doing, your spiritual growth is like the growth of a tree. It is not an overnight attainment. Have you seen any tree overnight suddenly blossoms, even without growing and becoming mature? And just like that is very natural. And yet the tree should not lose hope or become discouraged. Because every moment, everything that happens to it is leading it to its flourishing state, blossoming state, even though no blossom is seen. Instead of blossom, we see thorns. Yet you know it is going towards the blossom. If that enters your heart, then you have gotten the plant guru. It's a profound. Plant guru teaches you never despair. Brahman is the seer, the knower, the feeler, the smeller, the taster, the boxer. And if you enter into further study, Vedanta explains to you that Brahman has a magical power, Prakriti. Prakriti is a blend of three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Sattva predominating Prakriti is called Maya. Brahman expresses through Maya in the form of Ishvara, God. God the creator, God the sustainer, God the destroyer. In Hindu tradition, there are special names. Brahma is the creator, Vishnu, sustainer, Shiva, destroyer. All the three are same Brahman. Through the veil of Maya, same person puts on different veils in a dramatic stage. Then same Brahman, through Rajas predominating Prakriti, that's called avidya, expresses himself as countless jivas, souls in the process of evolution. Souls are not enlightened, they are constantly moving towards enlightenment through a long process. Brahman as Ishvara, that Ishvara has no problem. Ishvara level is enlightened. From Ishvara level, all creation is Leela, sport. From Jiva stage, creation is not a sport. It is a place where you experience bondage and release, hell and heaven, darkness and light. Third aspect, tamas predominating Prakriti. Brahman through tamas predominating Prakriti expresses in the form of world of matter. Matter, when we speak of, is not just physical matter of the physics. Even the mind, intellect, ego, they all come in the realm of matter. Subtle matter creates your mind, and grosser matter creates your body. The world of earth, water, fire, air, space, that world you see, that's the gross world. That gross world has evolved out of subtle tanamatras. They are also named in Vedanta under the same name: earth, water, fire, air, ether, space, in a figurative way. But they should not be confused with the gross matter. When we say a person says, I need a space in my mind. Don't confuse that space with a real space. Otherwise, that will be a terrible situation. Breaking the skull open and creating a space. So, therefore, it's Brahman that is all that is, anything that you think of. You, all the people, all the vast universe, countless world systems, all things that you know about the future, all things that are to come in, all things that were in past, all things that are going to come in future, all that is I am, the absolute awareness. And therefore, that is your object of meditation. So when you meditate on Rama, Krishna, Shiva, Saraswati, whomsoever, you must realize they are not individual deities, one better than the other. You have simply chosen that Brahman in the form of that symbol. And therefore, all other aspects of Brahman are implied in that. If you have little discomfort with it, then you go on adding other symbols. For example, you are worshipping Ram and suddenly feel that Rama is not removing his obstacles. I will turn to Hanuman. Hanuman needs further persuasion. I will turn to Shiva. You must realize your worship is according to the nature of your mind, according to the fabric of the mind. Mind needs to see things. You come into a family for a warm feeling, and there you enjoy seeing the father, the grandfather, the uncle, the aunt. I'm not asking to come into a big family, but that's a figurative language. Similarly, if you develop that type of sense in your spiritual movement, as long as you know that it is for mental relaxation, not as a reality, then it is okay, perfectly okay and normal. You shouldn't feel guilty that while I was worshipping Rama, then suddenly my turn to Shiva. Now, I've created some trouble. Not so. That is fundamental point. If you have not understood it, practice is very shallow. Therefore, we have Sahasranams, Lord Vishnu's 1,000 names. In those 1,000 names, all God's names have come into it. Lord Shiva's 1,000 names, Devi's 1,000 names. So that's an important thing to know. Next sutra says, Tat Shaktir Maya Jada Samanyat. Maya is his power, which is similar to insentient objects. We see the world in the terms of two aspects, Jada and Chetan. Chetan is that which knows itself and knows others in a relative way. Jada is that which doesn't know itself nor others. Illustration, go into a river, there are so many rocks. They have been there at the bank of the river, and they have not talked to each other for a long time. They don't gossip. They don't say anything. They don't know themselves. They don't know anything others. That's called Jada, insentient. Chetan, ask even a fish. It knew that a bird was coming to grab it. And it is suspicious of you, what your intentions are. It knows itself and it knows others. So the entire creation is divided into Jada and Chetan. Both aspects, God and Prakriti. Prakriti is his Maya, magical power. Is the magical power and Brahman together. That together is the only one. Expresses in the world in the forms of two categories, Jada, all insentient, Chetan, all that is conscious. But the predominating aspect of Brahman, pure awareness. The Jada aspect is magical. That is not the reality of Brahman. Prakriti is not the reality. Vyapakatvad Vyapyanam. God permeates all. All that is permeated by Him are of His nature. Another subtle point. Where is God? And you are given the idea God is interpenetrating reality. Science students get the idea that if we were to go on breaking atoms and going deeper and deeper, there may come time to touch God within it. Simple point is, the idea God permeates all is only figurative. As you have explained to you, in your dream world, the entire dream is, you may say your dream world is permeated by consciousness. That's a childish expression. To grow up, your dream world is nothing but consciousness. You may say, in the illustration of snake on the rope, the snake that is frightening you is permeated by the rope. Why not go one step further? It is nothing but the rope. The entire world is permeated by the sweetness of divine love. Go one step further, it is nothing but the whole ocean of honey. Anandamayam. Now, to put it in practice, what does it imply? Brahman is Satchidananda, existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Try to see how does it fit in with your mind. The idea that Brahman alone is, or Brahman permeates all. Turn your attention to yourself. What is most important for you, the matter of greatest attention, and that's your existence. Every moment you are unconsciously trying to remove from you things that will harm your life. An instinctive expression within yourself. Some part of your body is created that way. Your eyes operate without your permission. Something is coming to other, the eyes close. They don't wait for your permission. They're super instinctive. But in many areas, a slight attention from you. You see something coming and something going to fall, you move away. Why you do that? Because deep down you are pure existence. And you have not come to this state of realizing all this is illusion. So you are moving towards enlightenment through a relative world. A world that shines like a bubble in an enormous world of Maya. No matter how deluded you are, you have not forgotten one thing, that I am existence. You want to let go the existence. The love for existence exists in even the minutest creature. Even though the creature is so small and miserable, and it struggles, all its legs are broken and still is struggling. It doesn't want to die. So that tells you are seeing the glory of Sat, existence. Next point, awareness. Awareness is the source of all knowledge. That will require little analysis, little Vedantic reflection. When you know something, nothing changes in you. If you are 5 feet, you stay 5 feet. But you feel better. Deep down, there is a constant urge to know and to know. Every creature is working for it. Every bee is looking, where is the honey? Why are these people hiding the honey? Of course, as human beings, you are constantly trying to know. And knowledge, from academic point of view, is enormous. Enormous. Surges like the ocean. That because deep down in your essential level, you are all knowledge. Use a figurative language. Consider knowledge as light. Academic knowledge is different expressions of sunlight. There are countless reflections, the countless appearances of the sun in the form of rainbows, dazzling clouds, and so forth. All the enormous expressions of the sun, if you put them all together, doesn't equal the sun. So, intellectual knowledge is like that, enormous. It is thrilling, nevertheless not fulfilling. Absolutely. The knowledge moves on, and deeper hunger for knowledge continues. And it is fulfilled if you were to follow. Who am I? If you follow the source of I am with a revelation, pure awareness, it transcends your mind, your ego, your senses. That is Chit. And everyone unawares knows it in an indirect way. And it reflects in day-to-day activity. When I call a person, you are a dullwit. No person, no matter how dullwit. You can't define dullwit. No one can believe anyone is dullwit. That because you are pure awareness. And no one wants to be unhappy, miserable. You may not believe in God, you may not believe in anything in the world. But you do believe in happiness. Satchidananda, these 3 points indwell the heart of all living beings. Minutest of creatures and human beings, very advanced. Satchidananda is a common denominator of all personalities. What makes Satchidananda variable? Names and forms. Names and forms imply things, names, concepts, different ideas, different thoughts. Look at the same house. House is the same. 1 year before, that was yours. Now you have sold it and it's gone to somebody else. The house is now not well kept. It doesn't matter. It's not yours. That's called form. You're looking at a form. With the form, there is a name attached to it. This is not mine. 1 year before, it was mine. That's a name. Name and form, they create such a magic. And they are not realities. Because after you play through the illusion of names and forms, the houses will be there, not yours nor anybody else. But your Satchidananda is pressured by a load of names and forms. And that load doesn't exist. Have you seen a donkey in your dream? Carrying a big load and stumbling at every step. Try to dream that way. That means there is no load. There is no donkey. And yet you can have that type of dream. The world is not real. And yet enormous problems people face. And that's the reason that all satsang goes on. Na prani buddhibhyo sambhavat. Creation is well planned, well managed, with perfect precision, with divine purpose. Now the question arises, has this world been created by some intelligence, some Martian intelligence? Someone who has created a technology. In that technology, we are just like in the computer. You have so many ingredients, so many things come into the... Are we the product of some technology? And somewhere in Mars, people are watching what these creatures are doing. Of course, this is kind of trying to imagine the stupidity of mind. Technology displays enormous intelligence. But when you see that intelligence operating through a computer, your mind turns to who created it. And your mind also understands the one who created it was more intelligent than the computer. Similarly, when you look at the world and see there is precision, there is rationality, there is causation in a very profound way. A seed has been sown. It has a precision. It is going to grow. It will grow into a particular type. What is behind it that is making all this? What intelligence? That intelligence doesn't come from human mind. That intelligence is intelligence of God's omniscience, all-knowing aspect of God. God is the creator. We look at a watch and every little aspect of it. It's been fashioned, people glorify it. We look at the amazing clock of God where time and sunrise, sunset, and all things are well managed. Instead of a clock bell, God has arranged cock-a-doodle-doo. The enormous intelligence. We're looking at the universe. We're looking at even just an atom. And you go deeper and deeper into it, enormous intelligence. And how all these atoms come together. All the cells come together and create human beings with a special history, identity, story. Could you still say all this some big mind somewhere created it? Not so. God is the cause. It's not possible for any other than God to create the world. St. Thomas gave various reasons to prove that God is the reality, and that those reasons are perfectly in accord with Vedanta. The first is unmoved mover. Everything moves in the world. There must be some point that doesn't move, as well as there must be something that is moving everything without itself being moved. That follows by logic. That's God. Second point, everything follows causation. This has this cause has that cause. But there has to be causeless cause. There are come to an end. Don't become tired of saying this. And everywhere there is intelligence. Intelligence at work. You see intelligence in an ant, intelligence in a human being, intelligence. This gives you an understanding there must be boundless intelligence, limitless. That is God. All created things point to the Creator. The moment you see something in the world, how it has been created. Even if we see big rocks, how did it come to be fashioned like that? And that points to God. And Vedanta leads you to the deepest level. I am. Of all things that your mind handles, I am is the nucleus. Who am I? If I am is not resolved within you, then the entire experience of the world has no meaning at all. And if you were to go deep into it, that I am is not your ego. The I am is the eternal seer, the eternal knower, the eternal reality, God, the Absolute. And with this, we conclude. Om Shanti Shanti.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of spiritual growth. It's an honor to learn from the wisdom of Swami Jyotirmayananda. As we part for now, remember, the quest does not end. Take time to reflect on today's insights and integrate them into your life. Until next time, stay open, stay curious, stay present. The light within you is always shining.